Iron sharpens iron. And if you go to any bookstore, you'll see all kinds of books about how important it is that men have significant friendships. And they're usually written by women. One of my frustrations with this process of the gender wars of when, masculinity, toxic masculinity, what a man needs to be. And all of these books are written by women. And it's not unusual for you to get on or to be flipping channels and see a panel discussion on some news station, and it'll be three women and some poor little guy talking about what it is to be a man and what men need to be. And I'm thinking, what do you women know about what it is to be a man? You don't have a clue. There is a reason that the ancient tribes, when a young man turned 12 or 13 years old, they would take him away from his mother and move him to the other side of the camp. And he would live with the men. And this is the problem that single moms have. They can be great moms, and everybody needs a great mom. But when a young man begins to realize that mother can no longer physically impose her will, they will turn mother off like a light switch. And if you're not in your son's life during that time to be the big alpha male and enforce the rules of the house, mother will have problems. Okay, because she doesn't know how to help this young man channel his male energy, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And you're the one who has stepped in and says, yes, God has granted you great power. Here is how you channel it. It is imperative that you find yourself a band of brothers. And Stephen Mansfield has a great book on this, and it's simply titled Band of Brothers, and it's about how important it is and how you can actually make it happen to find a handful of men that you can do life together. Your wife can be your best friend. Certainly Jeannie is my best friend. And there are parts of our relationship that can't be duplicated anywhere else. But as wonderful as she is, she cannot be a guy. And there are certain things that only a guy can say to each other, that only a guy can call out in someone. You were never intended to live life as a Marlboro man. Okay? This lonely cowboy, we see him on his horse, and we see him miles and miles of wilderness, and nobody else is around. Nobody ever lives that way. Not long. We learned early on that we have to band together, we have to hunt together, we have to live together, we have to protect each other if we're going to survive. For that reason, we have to be more intentional about creating these kind of relationships. What used to happen naturally, walking through the jungle hunting, now we have to be more intentional about it. Because one of the things that we're missing in our culture is deep friendships among men. Facebook did a survey several years ago that is now famous because of all of the people who are part of Facebook, most of them did not have one or two people that they knew to call if they were in trouble. If they were in jail, if they were in the hospital, they didn't know who to call. So we live in a very disconnected and lonely world. The Bible has a lot to say about friendships. And there are some famous friendships in the Bible. One of the most famous is David and Jonathan. When David hears that Jonathan has been killed in battle, David says he loved Jonathan, and Jonathan loved him at such a deep level that it surpassed the love of a woman. Now, in our postmodern biblical interpretation, there were people who said, see, David and Jonathan were gay. There's no indication in the text at all that that was any part of their relationship. Nor is there any reason that Israel, the Jewish nation, would celebrate having a gay king. That wouldn't happen. And when David was tempted, and when David messed up, it was with a woman. All of his key relationships are with women. So there's no indication, but there was a time, 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer than that now. I'm old enough now that time gets by me. When every theologian or every biblical scholar, it seemed like, was publishing a book saying, see, there's homosexuality in the Bible. It's been around here forever, trying to justify that lifestyle. There was nothing at all to that. And it's been shut down very thoroughly since then. But David and Jonathan promised each other a friendship that would bind their children to this friendship. Not only are we promising that we're going to be friends forever, and I got your back and you got my back, but our children are going to be friends at this level too. That's how deep the promise was. In some ways, the friendship with David ended up costing Jonathan his life, because Jonathan got caught between loyalty to Saul, his father, and trying to protect David. The other interesting relationship, the friendship, was Elijah and Elisha. You remember the story. Jezebel tells Elijah, this time tomorrow, you're going to be dead. It's always amazed me that she sent a messenger and not just a soul. If you knew where he was, why didn't you send somebody to kill him? Because she wanted to torture him. She wanted him to dangle in the wind and think about how he was going to die. This was no idle threat. Jezebel had killed him before. So Elijah does what every great man of God does when he's threatened. He runs. Now, not only does he run, but he takes his servant and they run as far as they can run. And then they do the old West thing. They split. Right? You go one way, I go the other way. Remember when the posse would be chasing the bad guys and they'd say, we'll split up? Now get this great man of God was hoping Jezebel's soldiers would chase the servant and kill the servant rather than find him. He doesn't tell the servant to go hide. He says, you run off that way, I'm going to run off this way. They can't follow us both. Elijah runs into the wilderness until he's exhausted. He falls asleep, and God lets him sleep. God gives him rest, Sabbath. God wakes him and says, the journey's too hard for you. Get up and eat, and there is bread and water. He gives him the study of Scripture and prayer. And the third thing he gave him for the journey was Elisha. Somebody to share the burden with. Somebody to walk with. Jesus, in talking to his disciples in John chapter 15, says, I no longer call you my disciples, but I call you, what does he say? My friends. The highest compliment that Jesus could give Peter and James, that he can give you and me, is to be called his friend. Why? Because you're no longer being told who I am. You know. You know who I am. Paul, when he talks about relationships, has, I don't know how many one another passages. One of a great Bible study is to find all of these one another passages in Paul's letters and follow them up. Bear one another's burdens, pray for one another, lift one another up, encourage one another, bear each other's burden, on and on and on. All of these one another passages. You are to build each other up. You are, in Thessalonians, he says, encourage each other with these words. You know what that picture is? It's a workout buddy. It's somebody who's going to be waiting at the gym for you to show up. Somebody who's going to make sure that you count to 10, that you do all 10 reps, that you don't shortchange yourself at 8, and he's going to be one to make sure that the barbell doesn't fall in your throat and choke you to death on the bench. Okay? And it's always just the smallest gesture. Have you ever lifted weights with a spotter? All right, and you're working to where you max it out, and all of a sudden, you're going 10, 11, 12, and then you get to the next one, and it's like you've had a stroke and nothing moves, and you're pushing as hard as you can. What will your spotter do? He'll do one or two things. He'll either grab it in the middle and help you up, or he'll put a finger under the bar, one finger, and say, push. And you can do it with him helping you with one finger. Now, how that works, I don't know. But the point is, it doesn't take a whole lot of encouragement for your brother to get stronger. Most of the time, it just takes them seeing you and you showing up. Now, I want to respond quickly to a question that was asked last night. Because guys are so tough-minded, because we're so good at putting on this facade, what's wrong? Nothing. How are you? Fine. How do you get to a place where you can break through that conversation? Here's what I've learned. Guys talk sideways. Okay? We do not talk face to face. Anytime I do a marriage conference, I warn the wives. Anytime you tell your husband, I just want to sit down with you and talk eye to eye, you have invited your husband to combat. Because anytime a guy says to another guy, it's going to be you and me, eye to eye, we're going to fight. Okay? That scares us to death when you say we're going to sit down eye to eye. When I was growing up, there was always 2 or 3 driveways that had broken down cars in them. And every day you would drive by, the hood of the car would be up, and there'd be 15 guys bent over in the hood of that car. The car never got fixed. It was always in the driveway. It never got fixed. It was always there. What was happening? The guys weren't talking about the car. They were talking to each other. Okay? Here's how it goes. One guy leans over, another guy leans in, and goes, what you looking at? I said, man, I don't know. I just don't have the horsepower I thought. Have you checked the fuel line? Yeah, I did. I'm beginning to think it's carburetor. Yeah, carburetor's giving me trouble. How are you and your wife doing? Man, I don't know. Hand me a wrench. You know, I was talking to her last night, and I just can't figure out where we are, and I don't know what to do next. Tighten that belt. See? Guys will always talk in a situation where there's a way for them to get out of the conversation when they don't feel comfortable. Okay? Watching a football game, going to a baseball game, playing around the golf, working on a car, doing some project, some mission project. That's why some of your best friendships happen when you go do something. So don't call a guy that you want in your group or that you want to get to know. Don't call and say, hey, we're forming a small group where we share our honest secrets. I want you to be over there at 7 o'clock with us. No, they're not doing that. I got a bunch of guys, we're going to go see the Predators play. That's what happens. And the conversation always happens sideways. Does that make sense? All right, here are your table questions. Do you have friends who have become closer than friends but have become brothers? Second, are you a friend worth having? If one would have friends, one must show himself friendly. All right, here's your homework. What do your friends need from you? What do you need or want from your friends? Okay, let's follow this motif of stewardship out. On the day that I give an accountability of my life, I will give an accountability of my relationship with Jeannie, with my relationship with Chris and Craig, and my relationship with you. And I'm going to stand in front of Jesus and say, I don't know what else I did, but I got Jim Bonds up here. And Jim is going to look at me and look at Jesus and go, that's not the way it happened at all. I got him up here. The guys in your life, are they stronger, more committed to the faith? Are they their best selves because they are your friend? Do they stay in the fight a little longer? Do they stay a little more true to their values? Because they know you've got their back and they know you're counting on them. Okay? You ready for table time? Let's pray and I'll give it to you. Help us be good friends to each other. And most of all, good friends to you. And we pray this in your name.